Okay, LSJ Reviews time. And let's get right into it. The movie I'm talking about today is Midway, which is a World War II film set in World War II. And it's about the Battle of Midway between the American forces and the Japanese, and it's based on a true story. So, what I think of Midway? Oh man, I'm gonna do something bad to this movie, and it doesn't deserve it, but I need to do this to illustrate my opinion of this movie a little better. So I'm going to compare it to 1917, and yes, I know it's a World War One movie, and it's that one was loosely based on a true story. However, they do a couple of the same things, and it works in one movie and it doesn't work so much in the other. In 1917, you get a real feeling for the characters and the journey they go in, and the big names in the movie don't kind of overshadow things and all take over the film. You also feel like they're memorable. So, I remember Benedict Cumberbatch's role, for instance. I remember Colin Firth's role, for instance. Now, with Midway, this movie jumps around, not as bad as Rise of Palpatine, but it really does jump around to the point where you don't really get a sense of a lot of the characters. The movie doesn't stick around with them long enough, so you can't really get attached to anyone. I'll also say casting for this movie is a little more generic. Now, the big stars like Woody Harrelson and Dennis Quaid, they pop out, you recognise them instantly. That's all well and good. Same with the guy from The Conjuring and Aquaman. He was Aquaman's brother. I fucking forget his name. But you know who I'm talking about. Now, they stand out, but you don't really get to know their characters too much either. And it's a shame, too, because there's a lot of good elements in Midway. But apart from the big stars, the rest of the casting is a little bit generic. It is so generic that I watched this movie with my mum. I turned to her at some point and I said, "Wait a minute, isn't that the other guy's wife?" And Mum's like, "Oh yeah, I think it is." So it isn't, but I will say that two of the army officers in this movie who have wives, their wives look exactly the same. So, ooh. Might have wanted to have mixed up the casting a little bit there, make people stand out a bit more. And I'm gonna say another thing is that this movie, Midway, it feels like two movies smushed together, kind of the way Rise of Palpatine did, but not necessarily in a good way, like Rise of Palpatine. But my point is like this. There's two ongoing threads in this flick. One is the Navy with their aircraft carriers and all that shit, either defending or attacking the Japanese, and that's interesting. Go with that. Then the other parts of the movie are all about the Conjuring dude who's trying to break all these codes and intelligence gathering, so he can anticipate what the Japanese plans are to help the Navy guys. I think either one of those would have been a really great movie. If we focus more on the battle elements, you could always just have, hey, our boys broke the code. Here's the info. Or on the flip side, could be the tension of breaking the code and then hoping that the intelligence was right and trying to make it. So it did feel like two movies smushed together. None of the characters are given enough time to really gel. And that's about it. Alright, there are great elements to the movie though. The performances are pretty solid in general. And I just want to say all the battle scenes look pretty good too. Actually, they look fantastic. So the air battles between planes battling, the Navy battles as well, the freaking danger that these people went through, that's pretty well shown, and it's a good part of the film. There's just too much going. Like, you can follow it. It's not confusing at all. It's just you don't get attached, and that's the thing. Like, you wanna root for these people. You want to see their triumphs or their failures, and you don't quite care. The movie's entertaining enough that you want to see it to the end, but it's not something that I'll be saying in a few years' time, oh, you want a good war movie to watch? Here, watch Midway. No, it's going to be 1917, because that movie was a bit more tight and laser focused, whereas this one is a bit more of a hodgepodge that's all over the place. What do I give Midway? Well, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either. There's things that they did well, and there's things that they could have done better. But I wasn't bored, which is a plus. So, I'm going to give Midway a 5 out of 10. Wait for it to be a stream somewhere. You don't need to go to the cinema to pay money for this. It's not a must-see. So, that'll be it for Midway. All right, I've got my next 2 movies planned for next week, and I'm really looking forward to reviewing both of them. I'm going to tell you what they are. You'll see them when you see them. All right, drop me a like, a dislike, a message, follow me on Twitter. It's down there below, all that kind of shit. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.